Hello guys, Omni here. I'm going to do a combo video on this one because CW showed off their sizzle reels for their upcoming seasons. I didn't see one for Legends of Tomorrow, and considering Crisis on Infinite Earths and some news that came out pre-Comic-Con that I haven't talked about yet, I'm going to do these together. I'm only up to date on Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow, and Flash. Like I said, I didn't see one for Legends of Tomorrow, so we're just going to be covering the Flash sizzle reel for Season 6 and the Arrow Season 8 sizzle that we're going to watch and check into, and then we'll talk about that other news after the fact regarding Crisis on Infinite Earths. Now, Season 8, this upcoming season of Arrow, is only going to be 10 episodes, and it is the end of the show, ending with Crisis on Infinite Earths. So this is a huge deal to me. I've loved this show ever since the beginning. Same with The Flash. I love this universe that they've built. I love the Arrowverse and how they're really growing it beyond that into the cinematic universe with what we know which we'll talk about after this. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's start with the Arrow one because I heard it was more of a tribute than anything. So let's start there, start small, and then go to The Flash, which at least we know that show is continuing after this upcoming event. So here we go. We are starting with the Arrow sizzle reel for Season 8. I might cry.
Oliver Queen. Man who channels his hubris and anger and calls it strength.
The Monitor.
I've seen your future, Oliver. Inexorable and unavoidable. I have watched you die.
Living. It's not for the weak.
You can survive this.
That totally.
Make it home. Make it better.
Everything about you just became so unbelievably clear.
You need someone to remind you of who you are.
Are you the man in this picture?
The prison. Prometheus. Oh, they showed Deadshot.
A crisis is imminent. Someone is coming. Someone far, far more powerful than myself.
Oh.
Years on a deserted island and you came back a vigilante.
What? Oh, new canary outfit.
Fetched.
What?
Just one more thing I gotta do.
Prometheus is back somehow. Oh my god. Okay. We saw Diggle Jr. We saw some of the future cast coming into play. A lot of action there. New Canary outfit, new Arrow outfit. A lot of voiceover from Monitor. Kind of talking up, I'm assuming, I can only assume, as Anti-Monitor, who is the instigator of Crisis on Infinite Earths, in the comics at least. I know that we had, what was his name? I can't recall. The multiverse seeing dude that's in Arkham Asylum at the end of Elseworlds. Why can't I remember his name? Anyway, they're really tying in a lot of the past elements into this final 10 episodes of the show to really, really invoke all of that lovely nostalgia and emotion churning up. Man, I got misty. Just right there to like rolling a tear throughout that. I love this show to death. Freaking love it. It's had its ups and downs. I'm not going to lie and say that it's been flawless throughout. I think the first 3 seasons have easily been the best. The prison arc in this last season was pretty much the best part of the entire season. And I would say arguably the season, like with him in the prison, is some of the best of this entire show, as short-lived as that is. So without talking too much about this, let's go ahead and we'll switch over right into the Flash Season 6 Sizzle Reel.
My name is Dr. Ramsey Rosa. And for the last decade, I've spent my life dedicated to a single cause, helping others fight the diseases that plague humanity. But not anymore. And it's
Bloodwork?
because of them. You see, there are many cancers in this world, and they all wear different faces. Some are doctors, like me. Some of them seek out the truth, regardless of the consequences. Others mock the very science they worship.
We just ran out of time.
But the most dangerous ones are those who call themselves heroes. They claim to fight for the things that matter in life. Truth, family, law, order. And most of all, for life itself.
Why is it every time I come to visit, there's always a crisis?
But it's all a lie. Because in the end, there's only one battle. One thing to fight against. An eternal enemy who must be eliminated forever.
Death.
And that's death itself.
Are we under attack?
The scientifically impossible.
Was that Godspeed? I saw a white blur.
Understand them. Just tell me what I can do.
No one has to die. Ever. Again.
Bloodwork. I wonder how that's going to play out into the full season, though. That's interesting. Okay, so that's Bloodwork. He can manipulate blood after tampering with his own, trying to cure disease and whatever. Yeah, so he's pretty much immortal. So what he's saying kind of does fit into the character and what he's, at least the spiel he's giving throughout this. I don't know what his end game is, if his goal is to literally stop death, or is he trying to purge? Is this another person trying to purge metas? We did see a quick glimpse of Godspeed, though, and I was so worried about that being a throwaway villain last season, because he was just a one and done in Nora's future timeline. And I was reading a little bit about how Crisis is actually going to affect the other shows, because it is, unlike any of the crossover events up to this point, they've never really had a direct effect on the show itself, or the other shows. This one, the way every season of these last seasons have wrapped up, they all had the Monitor in it, and Flash and Arrow directly pretty much lead right into it, the Crisis event, or at least are showing that it is in the stages, especially Arrow, and Flash hints that it is in the stage of progressing. Now, with it being 10 episodes into Arrow, I'm wondering if that means the crossover event is going to be 10 episodes into Flash as well. They did say that the major effects of Flash, they said the season will be basically cut into thirds. The first third is what they're referring to as pre-crisis, which is a nice little throwback to the comics, where they are still dealing with the passing of Nora and that how that's affected their lives and how they're preparing for Crisis. Then you're going to have the 5-hour, 5-show, 2-month-long run of Crisis on Infinite Earths in the middle of that. And then the last half of the season will, of course, be dealing with the ramifications of that. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things that happen that completely reshape the Arrowverse. Completely. Now, what I wanted to talk about that came out before Comic-Con was they announced that Tyler Hoechlin and Brandon Routh will be playing a Superman. And Brandon Routh already played Superman in the continuation of the Christopher Reeves Superman in Superman Returns back in the early 2000s, making that movie in the multiverse of Arrow. It is the Superman Returns Superman that he will be playing, along with, he'll also be Ray Palmer in this event as well. And we already have had confirmation that Tom Welling has been on the sets of he's been announced at least to be involved in season 8 of Arrow, and will actually have a part in the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, which has me and a lot of people hoping that he will be reprising his role as the Smallville Clark Kent. I would love that. For some reason, I don't think it's going to be the case. Part of me, because they made it a point to announce Tyler Hoechlin and Brandon Routh as Superman, makes me wonder maybe if Anti-Monitor is going to be Tom Welling. Wouldn't that be ridiculous? What if he killed the Smallville Superman, or what? Because he's already been destroying these alternate Earths, leading up through all the realities, gaining their powers as he goes along. It builds so much, because they already established that the 90s Flash TV show was its own continuity, its own Earth, separate from the show, because that Flash made an appearance in the Elseworlds event last year. So they're really trying to bridge as many different iterations of the DC brand that they can reach, that WB will allow them to do, which further begs the question, or kind of puts validity to the words where Warner Brothers had stated in the DCEU the reasons for casting Ezra Miller as the Flash instead of Grant Gustin was because of the multiverse. So very well out there, you could still see the DCEU as a possible Earth within the Arrowverse realm. DC has predicated itself on the multiverse, much more so than Marvel in a lot of ways, because in Marvel, it's always kind of been a throwaway thing, aside from Miles Morales and the Ultimate Earth. But DC has made the multiverse in multiple occasions a core part of the reality around that, even to the point where the recent comic run has introduced the Omniverse, where there are multiple multiverses with different layers. I think they've established that the comic books have its own multiverse, the animated shows have their own multiverse, then you have the live action movies and TV shows and their own separate multiverse, and the comics are off by themselves, and they're all connected and threaded together in different ways. It's so mind-boggling, and to see like something like this that started off much like the MCU did with us, but with a single show on the CW, and just kind of blossom, and they just, with what Warner Brothers has allowed them to do, where they've restricted their availability for certain characters and titles and storylines, they've still managed to pull things together and do some really fantastic comic book storylines with Elseworlds, a mini little Flashpoint, which was really interesting, and just Crisis on Earth X. There's just so many good stuff that they've managed to pull off in this, and Crisis on Infinite Earth is just that dream. My jaw dropped, and I just leapt up out of my seat when Elseworlds ended, and then teased that Crisis on Infinite Earths was coming this year. And that's the only time that they've announced a crossover event a year ahead of time. Usually it's only a couple of months before it comes out that they even talk about it. And that just means that they are going ham and going big with this, because it will also be the send-off of their flagship show, Arrow. This will be the end of that, will be in Crisis on Infinite Earths, which makes me wonder what they're going to do in this, how crazy they're going to go. They've already established that Diggle on another Earth is Green Lantern, and they've been teasing that throughout the series up until this point. So we could even see David Ramsey be a Green Lantern in one of these alternate realities. I really want to know how far and how big they're going to go with this being a 2-month-long, 5-hour event. I am so hyped for this that I can't wait. And I really don't want to be disappointed, especially with it being the send-off for Arrow. I want them to go big, and I want them to go hard, and I want them to knock this out. And it just further confirms things for me on just how they're trying to push this. You know, it's convenient that they already had Brandon Routh as a regular cast member on the show from Arrow going into Legends of Tomorrow to, you know, be able to already have the actor that played a previous Superman be in there and actually reprise that iteration of the character, making the Christopher Reeve Superman technically part of the Arrowverse. And I just love it. And that just, it's not even part of the Arrowverse. That really just confirms that the Arrowverse itself is the greater DC multiverse. And freaking love it. I can't wait. I can't wait to, I can't wait for this fall. I can't. At the same time, I can, because I don't want Arrow to end. I love Stephen Amell. I love the cast. I love Oliver Queen. I want it to continue, but I know it's not. I know they have to go and do other things, but gosh, I want it now and forever. I'm sorry. Anyway, that's my rant and end for now. This video's gone on way too long. If you're all even still here, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to support the video if you liked it, and like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your opinions on this down below in the comment section. If you didn't like the video, let me know as well what you didn't like, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, everybody.